Hello everyone and welcome to just a little video I wanted to put together. Me, Bobby, and Dennis completed our Fantasy Baseball League draft earlier today, actually yesterday at the time of this upload. And basically I just wanted to go through, just make a little quick video and go through what I thought would be the strongest teams of the year. So we'll start with my team. Free Willy, as you can see, we have, that's not what I wanted to click. My team logo is Willy Adamas's face on Willy the Whale, and Freddie Freeman has the little child from the movie. Highly recommend if you've never seen it before. And here's what I got going on. So my keepers were two-keeper league. Freddie Freeman was one of my keepers, as well as Austin Riley. Two pretty straightforward keepers in my opinion. And with the first pick of the draft, I had actually traded to Bob, so I didn't have a round one pick. So in order, I took Cedric Mullins. He was my first pick of the draft, second round. Pretty much, he was in a spot where it felt like he wasn't going to get back to me with my next pick, and he's kind of a stolen base machine. So we're hoping to bank on that with stolen bases, one of our categories this year. Next, I took Dansby Swanson and Zach Wheeler. I took Swanson with the fifth pick of the third round, as I had gotten that from a trade from another team manager, and then took Zach Wheeler with my own pick down here. Then I had Framber Valdez right after that, so I was able to go two really high quality starting pitchers back to back. Then I went Teoscar Hernandez, Christian Yelich, who I'm pretty happy with getting in the sixth round. Um, feel like he can be a little bit of a sleeper this year. Same with Willy Adames. I got him in the next round in the seventh. Feel like I got some pretty good value out of that. I won't go through all of the picks just because it's not necessary. I was able to snag Jose Altuve in the 13th round. Figure I'd stash him on IR, and who knows, maybe I can use him as trade bait down the line to maybe improve at catcher, which I feel is one of my weakest positions. Second base, Max Muncy. Having the third base versatility helps, but dude's a walk machine. Absolutely was a, you know, they do they show it here? I'd have to go to his complete stats. But yeah, right here, 90 walks last year. He's projected to possibly get another 85. So if he keeps that up when we added walks as one of our categories as well, I'm pretty excited. Jorge Polanco, I got him in the 15th round. Was pretty stoked about that. He's been battling injuries a lot, so I don't really plan on keeping him in the starting lineup all that much, but also could become trade bait down the line. And then just to briefly go through my pitchers, Zach Wheeler, David Bednar, Framber Valdez, Pete Fairbanks will be sort of my horses. Luis Severino, I got him in the 12th round, so another late round stash. Looks like he's going to miss probably the first 3 weeks or so. So if I can just hold out till then with Joe Ryan, Jordan Montgomery, and Luis Garcia, who are serviceable pitchers for sure. Luis might have a bit of a down year. Joe Ryan and Jordan Montgomery, really 3-4 type of guys in the rotation. But still, feel pretty good about that. I think Pete Fairbanks could be a little bit of a sleeper. The Rays do use sort of a closer by committee. I'm not too worried about saves. I'm sort of chalking that one up as a loss as I did last year, and it got me all the way to third place. So we'll see what happens really if I can win the earned run categories, home run categories, and the strikeout categories. Uh, the ERA category will come with it. So hopefully those sort of go in my favor. And yeah, and then Hunter Dozier, just a versatile bench player to sub in whenever I need a guy. But overall, I'd probably give myself a solid I'd give myself a solid A minus. Obviously, I'm a little biased because it's my own team, but for not having a first pick, guys that were taken in front of me that I did not have a chance to get, Actually, better to say who was taken after that I didn't get a chance to get. Nolan Arenado, Justin Verlander, Matt Olson, Brandon Woodruff, which was a massive reach in the second round in my opinion. Corey Seager, Randy Arozarena, George Springer, Ozzy Albies, Alek Manoah, Shane Bieber, JT Realmuto, and Jose Abreu. So those were all guys I could have had a chance to take in the first round had I had my pick, but I didn't. So I feel pretty good about where I'm at, and I think initially, I went into the draft thinking I probably won't be a contender. We'll see what happens. Got a decent amount of ESPN position ranked players, third, 11th for Max Muncy, but we're really counting on his OBP and his walks. Freddie Freeman third, Sean Murphy. Catcher really isn't that much of a important position since it changes every day, but still fourth ranked position player there. Ninth ranked outfielder, second ranked outfielder, Willy Adames sixth ranked. So I feel like I have a pretty strong team. I guess next we'll just go and check out my opponent. That would be the real man of faith, Nathan. Um, he had a pretty strong draft, I thought. He kept Aaron Judge as one of his keepers, and then Pete Alonso as his other keeper. So again, two no-brainers. Nathan won the league last year, so he was going to be in a bit of a hole in terms of just the draft order. And as we can see, the percent rostered of the majority of his lineup is just really not that good. He really sold out on pitching, so Ryan Helsley, he got as a value pick late. Verlander took him in the early rounds. Robbie Ray took him a little earlier than took him in the fifth round, it looks like, so took him a little earlier than I would have thought. Kyle Wright's obviously a stash type of guy. Um, but overall, for Nathan having the last pick in the draft, I'll give him a solid B minus. Um, in terms of his actual roster, though, I really don't know how he's going to really compete. I mean, his team's pretty much driven by Pete, Xander, and Aaron Judge, unless Cody Bellinger has an absolute resurgence. Unless Ian Happ really takes off. I mean, Jack Peterson's just not the type of guy. Seth Brown, Wilmer Flores, Marcell Ozuna, Luis Garcia, like none of these guys are really starter worthy and guys you want um, when you could be better at other positions. But he'll make up for it in the pitching. Got a lot of quality starting pitching, so we'll see what happens. But this, to me, my personal opinion, I think this will probably be a down year for Nathan. Oh, we'll click on the next person, Coach Kent Murphy. Respect to anyone who's watching this who knows who Coach Kent Murphy is. He's an absolute legend. Coach Kent Murphy had the first pick of the draft. He took over for a member that was rather absent as a team owner. And through the start, he was actually pretty solid. He kept, who did he keep? Jose Ramirez, which is a very obvious one, and then Garrett Cole was his other keeper. He really went heavy starting pitching. It's a pretty bold strategy considering our categories, quality starts, strikeouts, home runs given up, saves, ERA. Um, if a couple guys have real blow up outings, you can sink yourself pretty quick. But if you have a bunch of really good outings, you can wipe the strikeouts category, you can wipe the ERA categories. So we'll see what happens there. Cease, uh, he took him in the third round. Felt like it was a little bit early for him. He's a good pitcher, but a lot of the advanced analytics aren't too high on him. Clayton Kershaw is probably nearing the tail end of his career. Jose Barrios is just not going to be very good. I imagine get dropped pretty quick. Um, I mean, Ryan Presley, very good closer, but really putting a lot of stock in the AL pitching here, so we'll see how that works. And then in terms of his actual lineup, again, as you can see by the percent roster, he was able to pick up Mike Trout with the first pick of the draft. But outside of that, um, banking on a lot of brand names that he really needs to come through. William Contreras, his first year in Milwaukee after getting traded from Atlanta. We'll see how that works out. Matt Olson will obviously be very good. He had a really good first two picks. Getting Mike Trout and Matt Olson back to back really set him up strong. And then it kind of went off the wheels a little bit. I think Andres Jimenez, signed a massive extension, but I think he's due to come back to the mean. Jeremy Pena, had him on my team last year, really good as a rookie. But um, with all the guys in front of him in the lineup, usually the bases are cleared by the time he gets up there, so his room for production isn't really that much. Charlie Blackmon, borderline washed. Eloy Jimenez, home runner bust, really. Brandon Drury signed with the Angels. We'll see if last year's success translates. I'm not convinced. And then his depth is his depth. So for having the first overall pick, I think he probably could have done better. He took Andres Jimenez in a round where Salvador Perez went off the board, Michael Harris, Wander Franco, um, Xander Bogaerts. So that's a little, head scratching to me. Took Clayton Kershaw in a round when Alejandro Kirk went off the board, Luis Arias, Teoscar Hernandez, Devin Williams, Nate Lowe. And so just feels like he probably could have done a little bit better picking from the first spot. So I'll give him a C plus. Uh, he realistically probably won't be that much of a threat, I don't think. So we'll see what happens. First year manager. Um, Remains to be seen what happens from here. We'll go to his opponent next. Did I win? Otherwise known as Big Boy. Big Boy was picking with the 5th pick in the draft this year, and he was really strong coming out the gates. He got Bo Bichette, George Springer, Ozzie Albies, and Adolis Garcia and Emmanuel Clase with his first 5 picks. Just absolute bangers. Was also able to pick up MJ Melendez in the 6th, and was able to get Anthony Rizzo in the 8th, so really high value there. He's got a pretty solid team. His outfield and utility and bench is a little bit weak. Ty France, it'll be interesting to see how he does this year. Alex Verdugo was pretty reliable last year. Um, but Stanton has his injury issues, production issues. Jonathan India, we'll see what happens. Wyatt's a big Reds fan, so that's a Reds homer pick right there. And then when you get into the pitching, he really did really well. Spencer Strider's going to be good this year. Alcantara, Logan Webb. Charlie Morton is probably washed at this point. I'll expect him to get dropped at this point. At some point, I mean, Craig Kimbrell is kind of washed now. He took Felix Bautista in a round when I was really hoping to snag him in the 10th, so that was really unfortunate. I went with David Bednar that round instead. But Big Boy Wyatt, he's gonna have a pretty good team. Picking in the 5th spot, I'm gonna give him a solid A minus. I could definitely see him being a top 5 team in the league, top 4 as well. Let's see, who do we got next? We'll go to a man of faith. This is a man of faith in closers, excuse me. This is going to be Kenny. He was the runner-up last year, which means he was picking 11th. Kenny also had some trades where he didn't pick from rounds 3 through 5. And so you can sort of see how top-heavy his draft is. So Nolan Arenado was his first pick in the first round. His keepers were Mookie Betts and Julio Rodriguez. And you can see he's kind of taken a bit of a chance on some of the younger guys like Riley Green, Jordan Walker, Isaac Paredes, definitely a depth pick. Seiya Suzuki, as a Cubs fan myself, hope he works out. But, Jordan Walker, rookie. Brandon Lau had injury issues last year and is really a home run or bust type of player. Same with Josh Bell. Same with Cal Raleigh. So we'll sort of see what happens. The percent roster, I think, is a little bit misleading here. I'm surprised Cal Raleigh's that low. But like Oswald Peraza is another guy that's, not a known commodity at this point. So he's really going to be banking on these 4 guys right here, Nolan Arenado, Carlos Correa, Mookie Betts, Julio Rodriguez, to really carry the weight of his lineup. And then in the pitching, last year Kenny, as his name suggests, a man of faith in closers, really went hard with the closers. This year, a little bit of a different story. Daniel Bard we'll see what he does this year after having a successful year last year. Kendall Graveman, I think, is going to be the closer while Hendricks is dealing with his cancer, which we hope he pulls through on Liam Hendricks. Um, but outside of that, I mean, Chris Sale is washed at this point. Senga, big name signing for the Mets this offseason. We'll see how his game translates. Lucas Giolito, I think, is probably going to fall off. McClanahan is going to be really good this year. But I don't really see Kenny having a top two team unless he really makes some big time trades. Um, and so for picking in the second to last spot, which is always a hard spot, he went all in last year, so didn't get to pick in rounds 3 through 5. I'll give him a solid B. Um, I don't know, without looking through the rest of his draft where he took guys. I mean, Jordan Walker was a bit of a reach where he took him. Uh, Maybe Chris Sale was definitely a reach where he took him. But when you miss out on rounds 3 through 5, it's really hard to get quality players to fill out your lineup. So yeah, probably going to be a bottom six team this year, I think. We'll take a look at his opponent, Trevor Bauer's Ladies. If you get the joke, you get it. He was picking sixth this year, which is almost right in that sweet spot. Team that sort of came on late last year. His keepers were Bobby Witt and Kyle Tucker. Uh, he's got a really interesting team. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt obviously was a no-brainer pick as his first round pick. Um, Adley Rutschman, Orioles are hoping for big things out of their catcher. Uh, but I mean, his bench in depth. I mean, we'll see if Anthony Volpe is what he brings in his rookie year. Winker's sort of on a downslide ever since getting dealt to the Mariners. Josh Naylor, hit or miss. Spencer Steer, I don't know anything about him. Masataka Yoshida, another big name Japanese player that came over this year. We'll see how his game translates. Rowdy Tellez, another guy who's boomer bust at the plate. Jake McCarthy, uh, another unknown. So really, I mean, Kyle Tucker, Paul Goldschmidt, Bobby Witt, and Adley Rutschman are going to have to carry his production, so I really don't see him winning that many batting categories on a week-by-week basis. He went really hard starting pitching, so his strategy appears to be he's really going to try and hammer strikeouts, quality starts, and the like. Josh Hader obviously is a very um, good closer, had a bit of a rough stretch to end the year last year with the Padres. We'll see how he comes out this year. But Alek Manoah is going to be probably an all-star. Dustin May, Great Lakes Loons legend, hoping for the best for him. Hunter Green, very interesting pick. Dude's hit or miss, throws hard but throws straight and throws down the pipe. Logan Gilbert, I'm expecting a little bit of regression for him after last year. He sort of came on and took some people by surprise, so I think another year in the league, maybe some hitters will be a little more used to him. He was able to snag Tyler Glasnow late, which was something I was hoping to do. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping to stash him as well. But overall, a decent, uh, a decent pitching roster, and a mostly decent batting roster. For getting the sixth pick, though, I think you can probably do a little bit better, so I'll give him a B minus. Um, could be a top half team, probably somewhere around the 5-6 mark. Uh, he doesn't really have any trade candidates outside of draft picks, probably though. So he's really going to have to rely on a lot of these unknown guys to step up week in week out, in my opinion. Halfway through, 6 teams in a 12-man league. Next, we have the other Man of Faith, a Man of Faith, with none other than Tom Brenneman as the logo. For those of you who don't know, Tom Brenneman's actually looking to make a comeback, but that's neither here or there. Man of Faith was picking 8th in this year's draft. He did not have a 3rd-round pick or a 6th-round pick as a result of trades to other managers. Took Aaron Nola in the 1st round, JT Realmuto in the 2nd, Michael Harris in the 4th, Devin Williams in the 5th. And as you can see, based on the percent roster. Obviously, JT Realmuto is going to be a horse. Manny Machado is his keeper, and so is Kyle Schwarber. Outside of that, he might be relying on stolen bases. Guys like Benintendi, Michael Harris, Nico Hoerner. It's a little rough. It's a little rough for Dennis. Could be a rebuilding year. Picking eighth again when you don't have your third and sixth round draft picks can be a little bit difficult. Um, I think he did well for the most part in the pitching department. Freddie Peralta should be pretty good. Chris Bassett, we'll see how he's getting in his age. Kenley Jansen, I think he's on the tail end of his career, so it won't be surprised to see if he struggles this year. Miles Michaelis had a rough year last year. A lot of people are predicting him as a dark horse, sort of comeback player type of candidate. Alexis Diaz, we'll see how much work he gets as the closer for the Reds. Devin Williams, obviously a very solid closer for the Brewers, and Aaron Nola, the ace of the Phillies. For picking eighth, not having a couple picks, I'm gonna give Dennis a B minus. The percent roster here definitely does tell the story. I mean, Ryan Mountcastle. Respect to Ryan Mountcastle, but he's not really the type of guy you want as your starting first baseman in a 12-person league where there's a lot of really good first basemen. Andrew Benintendi, I mean, you feel like you can get a better outfielder than him. He's reliable, but we'll see. We'll see if Kyle Schwarber, Manny Machado, and JT Realmuto can carry him to 3 hitting categories every week. But not a whole lot of star power there. A lot of brand names. Michael Harris should be really good this year, so he'll definitely help in the stolen base department. But it feels like he has a lot of categories sort of spread out, so we'll see how that plays. I think he can be top 6. I actually don't remember anymore all the teams I said there are top 6 and bottom 6. But Dennis has got the type of team I think that can be top 6 with his rotation in his lineup. Next we have MLB The Show, play on words for Shohei Ohtani, who was one of his keepers, as well as Trey Turner, so 2 of the best keepers you can get in the game. He had a really good draft. John had a really good draft. Dalton Varsho, he took him in the round I was hoping to get him. Feels like you can do a little bit better, like I said, with Dennis than Andrew Vaughn at first. Jose Miranda, he took in the 9th round. Felt like a bit of a reach for me there in the 9th. Felt like he probably could have done better at third base. Guys like Ryan McMahon, DJ LeMahieu, Luis Urias went off after him. So we'll see how that works. But Randy Arozarena is going to be really good this year. Lars Nootbaar got a lot of attention after the World Baseball Classic. We'll see how he plays. But Brian Reynolds, really great pick. Marcus Semien, I was hoping to snag him, but he went. Did he go in the first round? Yep, he went in the first round. John picked 4th. I think John's got a pretty solid team. When you can throw, when Shohei's not pitching, Randy Arozarena can be in the outfield and Shohei can be in the utility. So he does have a really weak spot at third. We'll see how well Taylor Ward this year plays. We'll see how well Andrew Vaughn is. So I think his weaknesses are definitely at first, one of the outfield, and third and one of the outfield positions. But he's got a really strong starting pitching staff. I mean, Fried, Gallen, Javier, Ohtani. That's about as four horses as you can get right there. Clay Holmes, we'll see how he bounces back from a rough close to the year last year. But John's got a really good team. I could see him being a top 4 team, picking in that 4th spot, sort of a sweet spot. So I'll give him a solid A minus. I think he's got a good team, and he's going to give a lot of teams some trouble this year. Next, 4 teams to go. Voice is getting a little hoarse. Shoeless Joes. The Shoeless Joes picked 3rd this year. His first pick was Corbin Burns, Corey Seager, Luis Robert, Julio Urias, Salvador Perez, Nate Lowe, Carlos Rodon, Chris Bryant were his first 8 picks in 7 rounds. His keepers were Rafael Devers, absolute no-brainer, as well as Yordan Alvarez, absolute no-brainer. For picking third, he's got a pretty solid roster. Pretty much all of his entire starting lineup is above 85% rostered, which is what you want to see. We'll see how well Chris Bryant plays this year. We'll see if Luis Robert can stay healthy this year. I thought it was a bit of a reach where he got him. We'll see how well Gleyber Torres plays this year. He struggled, in the past. Nate Lowe's kind of a home run or bust type of guy. Salvador Perez is still kicking strong in his age, but will he fall off? Well, that remains to be seen. Bench depth, not really anything to write home about, but a really, really strong quality starting lineup. And then the pitching is really good as well. I mean, Corbin Burns is an ace. Blake Snell, we'll see if he can stay healthy this year. Julio Urias, we'll see how he pitches this year. The Dodgers have a really strong rotation. He's worked himself to be the number one guy in the rotation as of right now. So he's got three aces. Can't complain about that. And then when he gets Rodon back from injury later on, he's gonna be really pushing for a lot of the starting pitching categories. So overall, really strong draft for him. I think definitely could be a top 5 team. I feel like I've said that a lot, so I might have to recalculate at some point. But that's definitely one of the stronger teams for sure. Next, we get to the Stephen Kwan Fan Club. Stephen Kwan Fan Club last year uh, pretty much decided to sell the farm for draft picks. And so our good friend Bob, picking in the 7th spot, had 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, which is just absolutely insane. His order went Max Scherzer, Alex Bregman, Shane Bieber, Vinny Pasquantino, Kevin Gausman, Stephen Kwan, Alejandro Kirk, Luis Arias. Those were his first 8 picks through 5 rounds, and he had 10 picks through 6 rounds. Byron Buxton, Christian Walker. Bob had a really solid draft. Top two team in the league. I think easily. He's got 3 aces. We'll see how well Pablo Lopez does in the AL. But George Kirby was a guy I was hoping to pick up. He won't be pushing for saves much. But he'll definitely be pushing for strikeouts, definitely be pushing low amounts of home runs, be pushing ERA, be pushing quality saves. And his starting lineup, you know, Byron, if he can stay healthy for a full year, could be sort of a lightning rod. Luis Arias has been an on-base batting average machine. Vinny Pasquantino really came on for the Royals late last year. Alejandro Kirk, really good catcher. Fernando Tatis will be coming back from his suspension shortly, and his bench depth is pretty good as well with Christian Walker and Ahmed Rosario. So yeah, I think this is easily a top 2 team. I thought he might have reached a little bit on Stephen Kwan, taking him in the 4th. But overall, I mean, this is definitely a team to be reckoned with for sure. And that's going to bring us to our last team, Zig's Big Rig. Ziggs has had some trouble in the past staying active. We'll see how long he stays active for this year. He had the 2nd pick in the draft this year. I forgot to give Bob a draft grade. Strong A. Strong A for Bob. I thought he nailed it. Now for Zig, last team in the league, and last team for this video. How's my time here? Might be able to get it sub 33 minutes, hopefully. Will Smith let me start with his picks. Jazz Chisholm, Brandon Woodruff, Will Smith, Luis Castillo, O'Neal Cruz, Corbin Carroll, Matt Chapman, Raisel Iglesias. 8 picks in 8 rounds. For having the number 2 pick, I think you can probably do a little bit better. I'll give him a B+, but when you're keeping Vlad Jr. and you're keeping Ronald Acuna Jr., you're already looking really good. Jazz Chisholm remains to be seen if he can stay healthy for a full year, but if he can definitely be a lightning rod. Matt Chapman just seems to produce either 0 for 4 or 2 for 4 with a homer for Matt Chapman. Will Smith, easily one of a top 2 catcher in the entire league, top 2, top 3. Corbin Carroll, We'll be very interested to see how he performs this season. Tyler O'Neill, another guy that's sort of a question mark on what he's going to be able to bring on a day-to-day basis. Same with O'Neill Cruz, really struggled to hit for average last year, and then getting into the depth, nothing real special in the bench depth, um, but a decent starting lineup. I have a feeling this will be a revolving door at utility. Definitely some question marks and a weakness at outfield. Question mark at shortstop. We'll see how good O'Neill Cruz is. Might want to look to upgrade at third at some point in the year. But this is a good team from a batting lineup standpoint, and then from a pitching standpoint, Brandon Woodruff I thought was a reach in the second round. Um, we'll see. I mean, they've got him as the 30th ranked starting pitcher, and he took him in the second round. Uh, it's a move. It's a move for sure. Rizal Iglesias was really good last year in relief, so I imagine he'll be really strong. Jeffrey Springs was a guy I wanted to get but couldn't. I think he'll be pretty good. Sonny Gray isn't going to provide much. Joe Musgrove will. It'll be interesting to see what his production looks like this year. And Luis Castillo remains to be seen how effective he is in Seattle this year. So some brand names here in the pitching department, but I don't really think um, with the way it's constructed right now is he'll be pushing for many pitching categories. So really gonna have to hope to hit big in the batting categories on a week by week basis. And really, if Smith, Guerrero, Acuna, are consistent producers. You only need another couple guys to really just get hot week in week out. Probably for picking the second spot, I'll give him a B, and probably it's hard to project at this point, but I think he's probably a middle 6 to 9 team. I just don't look at that roster and say definitive top 4, top 3 team. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of our league, what I think about the draft, and the teams in it. Remains to be seen how things will shake out, and I didn't hardly give any teams any bottom 6 grades. Um, so perhaps I don't know. It'd be hard to go through it right now. I don't think I'll be bottom 6. I don't think I'll be bottom 6. Nathan could be bottom 6. I mean the lineup's weak. He could be bottom 6. Wyatt likely will not be bottom 6. I don't think he's got too strong of a hitting lineup. I think. Nah, definitely not bottom 6. This teeters towards bottom 6. This teeters towards bottom 6. I think. Um, yeah, I don't really feel like going through the rest of it. You guys get the gist of it, based on the grades I gave, based on um, sort of my own thoughts. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment below who you think has the best couple teams, who you think's going to be uh, competing for the championship at the end. Um, these are sort of the divisions. Oh, that's what I should have done. I should have went through division by division to see who I thought had the weaker, stronger division. From first glance, this side probably is. Mm, it's hard to say because Bob's got a really good team. Luke's got a pretty strong team. John's got a pretty strong team, and then Coach Kent Murphy's pretty strong. This team's pretty strong. This team's pretty strong. This team's decently strong. It seems like it's even divisions to me. Um, this side might be tougher, but it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out. And here's hoping that week one get a dub on the board. But thanks so much for watching. Keep an eye out for later today or tomorrow, depending on how late the pod runs for the new pod episode. And with that, I will see you guys pretty soon in the next podcast. Thanks so much for watching. And that's all I got. See ya.